right, welcome back to Mono Emotions the podcast. I'm your host Herc. If you haven't already, hit that like, subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at Minor Emotions _ VDP. I lied. That's not the name no more. At Minor Emotions the podcast. I changed it. That's the same handle on TikTok. If you want to come be on the podcast, shoot us an email to minoremotionsthepodcast at gmail.com. Or you can shoot me a text message now to 702-525-6118. And as always, if you don't have a support system, work on getting one because they're very important. Today, I have a new friend of mine, someone who I kind of think highly of. She's a mother. She's a wife, a widow, as of like 8 months ago, which is admirable for her to be here today. She has a long history in banking. And how many kids you have? 3?
3.
And she's a mother of 3. Welcome to the show, Haley. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
You still nervous?
No.
And listen, I got her nervous. She told me yesterday she wasn't nervous.
I
got
wasn't
her
nervous
I got her
until
nervous.
he was testing things. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should be nervous.
Yeah. But you doing all right today, though?
I am. The sun's out, so
Sun's out,
always
guns
starts
out.
for a good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haley, let's start off. Where are you from?
I'm from Spanaway.
Well, that sucks.
That's rude, first of all.
So you was born and raised in Spanaway?
I was. I grew up on 175th Street.
Okay.
Lived over there behind like where Columbia Bank is and stuff. Lived
Okay.
there for, I want to say 15 years of my childhood, and only moved over to like Parkland and then back to Spanaway.
So you never lived outside of Washington?
No.
Never outside of Pierce County?
Never.
You ever want to?
No.
You're okay with living here? Forever?
I would love to maybe not live in Spanaway just because of the crazy homelessness that's like right next to my house. But other than that, I love Washington. I love the greenery. I love the things to do. I love the outside. So
You don't love sun?
I do, but I can vacation and visit that sun.
It's not the same, man.
It's not.
Oh my God, it's so depressing here. And I know, like, on a podcast like this, depressing is like the last word you want to use, but it's the truth, man. Like,
Yeah.
everybody here,
I
they
have
all.
my days. Don't get me wrong. I totally have my days where I'm like, please let there be some sun.
I feel like people here are like super like gloomy all the
Yeah.
time, and it's like a representation of the weather you get. But the weather here also too is kind of like confused because it'll be sunny, then it'll start
Yeah.
raining, then it'll sleet.
We
snow.
had a little bit of that today. No snow, but we had a little bit of,
Sleet.
no, just the rain, sun, rain, sun, rain,
Oh.
sun.
Yeah, I haven't been outside really at all today, so no desire to
You're
go
missing
outside.
out. You're missing out.
No, listen, I went to the second floor and I seen the sun coming through, and I said, "Oh, that's nice." And,
And that's as far as you
yeah,
went?
no, I'm good, man.
That's funny.
I'm good. So growing up, how was it growing up for you? Did you have your mom and your dad in the same household?
Well, I did have a father figure in the household.
Okay.
My mom and my stepdad, who is very much so, I call him my dad, were together from the time I was just a few months old. And he's still a super active part of my life. But yeah, so I did have a father figure and mother in the household.
What about your biological father? You ever meet him?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Great man, wonderful man. Has 6 children, raised all of them, really a good, solid man, for sure.
Yeah.
I think my mom and him and their relationship played a role in the challenges that I had with getting super close to him, but he lived in Spanaway too my whole life. So I did go over and visit. I
Okay.
went over there, so it wasn't like he was absent and he wasn't part of my life. He definitely was.
So let me ask you this: so you had your stepdad, and you had your biological father who you had a relationship with, but you call your stepdad your dad.
My dad.
How do they feel about that?
I think there's a mutual respect there for sure. My stepdad never had anything ill to say about him. He always thought he was a great person, great guy. And I think my biological dad always loved just seeing how well my stepdad took care of me and just took care of things. Do you know what I mean? There was
Yeah,
always
for
respect
sure.
there for sure.
I said that on my first episode, the very first episode we were talking. I was talking to 2 of the females that were on, and I was explaining that, like, you know, having a step parent is not the same as having like your biological parent, of course, but also I think as like for in most cases it's the dad, But as the non-custodial parent, I feel like if you take your emotions out of it and you just become mature and you look at it and think about truly what's best for your children,
Yeah.
you just hope that your co-parent that you have, the person you have children with, you just hope that they choose another partner who's going to love those kids somewhere close to the level that you do, right? And
Absolutely.
they treat them with the same kind of respect and and love. And so once your co-parent finds that, I think that you should just be accepting of that. And if the kid becomes comfortable enough to call that person their step parent, their mom, their dad, or whatever, I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's just the love that that person has shown, that because unless they're forcing you to say, hey, call me dad or call me mom, if you just decide to do that, that's a sign of the love that they showed, and how they raised you. So I just think that shows maturity on their behalf.
Yeah.
So
Oh, for sure.
what kind of relationship you have with your mom?
Me and my mom have a very, it's, there's a lot of love there.
Okay.
I've never in my life questioned that my mom loves me and my mom wants what's best for me. I always know that she loves me with everything that she has and as much as she knows how to, but there is some, and has been some substance abuse issues there.
Okay.
So with that, it's definitely, that has strained it, but also, I know that if I need anything and if I call my mom, she'd be there in a heartbeat. So
Okay.
definitely somebody I could depend on, but, we've had ups and downs for sure, but I love her.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask a question. If you don't want to answer, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
As a kid who grew up with a mother who had some struggles, I'll say that. How did you feel like that affected you
Oh,
growing up? Not now, but like
oh, okay.
growing up.
Growing up, it definitely made my childhood a little harder for sure. My mom and dad divorced when I was in fourth grade, I believe.
Your stepdad?
My stepdad.
Okay.
He was still very active in my life, and I actually lived with him for a while when my mom was going through her struggles. It was between my grandmother, who also played a big part in raising me, who lived right down the road, so it worked out great. But my stepdad and my grandma really stepped in to make sure that I had what I needed, and
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not going to dig too deep into it, but I do want to ask you one question. If your mom was sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in right now today, and you guys were talking about your childhood, what's one thing you would tell her?
That I appreciate that even if she wasn't able to take care of me, she always made sure that I was taken care of. I mean, I saw a lot, right? I saw a lot of people in addiction really neglect their children or not make sure that they're taken care of or not make sure that they have a place to go. And my mom always, that was her number one priority, was making sure that I was taken care of. And I never understood that as a child. I felt like, why do you keep leaving me? Why do you keep leaving me? She didn't want me around all that.
Yeah.
So I respect her for that, for sure.
So that's what you would tell her, that you respect her for that?
Absolutely.
So, what's one thing from your mom that you took into raising your children now?
I would say the way I love deeply. The way I love deeply. My mom will look at me and go, "Oh, I love you so much," and I don't think a lot of people express themselves in that fashion. My husband, when we got together, he was like, "I love how deeply you love," because I'm that person. I'll be in the car and I'll just be like, "Gabe, my oldest son, I love you. I love you. I want you to know how much I love you," and I
He
think
probably thinks that's weird, huh?
no, not at this point, because that's been a life.
Okay.
That's been life for them. My husband, though, getting with me was like, man, I've never seen somebody tell everyone around them how much they love them and they care for them and why they appreciate them so much. And my mom taught me that. So
What do you think the importance of doing that is?
I think people need and crave validation. 100%. I think that even if you think you don't need it, you need it. You need to hear sometimes just how much you're appreciated or just how much you're loved or why and what makes you special.
Okay. Are you the only kid?
For my mother, yes. My dad has six other
okay.
children.
Do you have a relationship with them?
Yes, I do. Especially my big sister, Amber. Her and I are probably the closest.
So wait. Your dad had kids before he got with your mom?
And one after. So
Wait, I'm confused.
So 5 before me, 1 after me.
Oh, so he already coming into being with your mom. He already had 5 kids. Oh, okay. I was about to say, hold on. Where did the other 4 come in at? Okay.
Where
All
do
right.
these kids come from?
And what kind of relationship did you guys have growing up?
Really good. My sister was in my wedding. My sister and I are super close. If I need anything, she's there in a heartbeat. Through my husband's passing, she was very, very present. Went to his service. You know, she's very present. She lives in Shelton, so it's kind of farther, for sure. And I would love to see her more, but with life and the craziness of life, we don't always make the time, but we talk constantly.
In your opinion, coming from somebody who has multiple siblings, how important do you think that a strong relationship with your siblings, a strong positive relationship with your siblings, how important do you think that is?
I think it's really important. I think, especially if you grew up in the same household, which I didn't, but I do think that especially if you grew up in the same household, they're the only people that are really going to remember have all the memories of
Yeah.
your whole life. Me and my brother-in-law were actually talking about this yesterday because he was saying how hard it's been for him since my husband passed. And he said, that's been my very best friend my whole entire life. He's the only person that knows every single chapter
Yeah.
of my life. And so I think it's extremely important to keep those people as close as you can.
Okay. Do you think that the relationships that you have with your siblings, do you think that those relationships kind of shaped you in the relationships you have now with friends and even like on an intimate level, just how you approach relationships?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
Well, because I only say that because, all relationships kind of are the same, right? Like they require the same thing. They require equal input and effort. They require trust, some kind of care and emotion towards the other person. So even though like like in a relationship like where you're dating someone, it's more things because it's more intimate versus platonic, but it still it kind of teaches you just how to be in relationships. So that's why I was just wondering if like there was something about like growing up, like whether you guys had like altercations or you guys had like disagreements or whatever, and how you guys handled them.
So, since I didn't spend a ton of time with my siblings, right? I wasn't around them every day. I wasn't around them even every week. I mean, sometimes maybe once a month I would go over there. My cousins were that for me. My cousins were always around and were very close. And me and my cousin Deborah, we were always together through childhood and to high school and even after. And 100% my relationship with her and my cousins, absolutely. Absolutely. I learned a lot through those years.
How would you say your friends and when you're growing up and your siblings would describe you? Like if they had to use like one word to describe you, what would they say?
Kind-hearted.
Kind-hearted?
Kind-hearted. If we're using one word, I could think of a million.
But why would you say that they would say you're kind-hearted?
Because I give everybody a chance. Maybe, I say maybe really loosely, I 100% always give people too many chances. I'm too available to let you hurt me or do me wrong because I'm so kind-hearted and like I see the good in everybody, even if they don't have much good to offer me. I see it
But at what point does it become too many?
too many times.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be really honest, I rarely cut people out. I rarely cut people out. Like, I have a lot of friends, my very best friends, and I have wonderful friends, a wonderful friend group. They're constantly like, why do you talk to this person? You need to give up on this person. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But they're also like, we know her, and we know that she's just going to let whatever happen. I mean, I can keep you at arm's length and still show you love and have you part of my world, if that makes sense.
No, for sure.
And not allow you to hurt me, but I am just way too kind-hearted. I know that's kind of a problem.
Nah, because I'm kind of the same way. Like even the people, I'm not gonna say who, but like the conversation that we had before the camera came on about the person I was telling you about.
Yeah.
If it came down to it, if that person needed me, especially for like
Yeah.
a mental health reason, I'm always be there. Anybody who has my contact or knows how to reach me, I don't care what kind of problem we ever had. If you're having a bad day, you can always call me. So I can totally agree. Like I'll keep people at like arm's length, but doesn't mean like we're gonna be buddy buddy.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
because I think that one thing I've learned is, you know how they say like you can't feel from an empty cup. I'm not gonna say that, but I feel like some people just keep draining your cup.
You're
And
not wrong there. That's actually a beautiful way to think of it
yeah,
too.
like so like if you're just constantly draining my cup,
Yeah.
then I'm just gonna be like, okay, like
Limit,
I got a lot
you
of
gotta
love for you.
limit the access that they have
Yeah.
to that cup, right?
Like I got a lot of love for you and a lot of care for you, but I'm not gonna be just associated with you because you're draining.
Yeah.
You know, and I never tell them that.
Yeah. But you could think that. You
Yeah,
can think that all you want
yeah,
to.
that's fucked up.
Yeah.
To just be like, oh yeah, you know, I don't want to hang out with you because you drain me.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's
That's
the
what-
truth. There are people that drain you. I always tell people that are real close in my life where I'm like, you really have to protect your energy. Because I'm sorry, especially if you're somebody like me, I'm very, I can feel people's energy very deeply. Kind of to a fault where it will exhaust me if somebody is too erratic or too, does too much.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Or if somebody is too into drama, too, wants to start stuff all the time, or always wants to talk about negative things, that starts seeping into you, and it starts, making you think more negative, making you be more negative.
Yeah.
So protecting your energy is huge for me,
You ready to get into some deep stuff?
I guess. Let's do
All right.
it.
No, I'm joking. No, I was just gonna ask you before we stop talking about your childhood. How was like high school for you? And two-part question for you.
Yeah.
How was high school for you? And if you could, knowing what you know about adulthood now and the life you have now, would you rather go back to being in high school, or would you rather just continue where you're at right now?
Okay. Childhood, high school was good for me. I loved high school. I have a lot of really great memories from high school. A lot of fun, crazy times that I had. I played sports and I did cheer, and had a lot of really great friends. I still am friends with a lot of friends that I've had all throughout school. So I really, like, if I have a good connection with you, you will be my friend for life. That's 100% how I roll, which is
Okay.
how it is. Would I go back though? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I like who I am today.
Okay.
I like who I am today, and I like the life that I've created for myself, and I like the opportunities that are around me today, where then, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't need money to make me happy. I think now I've kind of gotten used to, I don't want to say the finer things in life, but maybe a
Okay.
little bit,
There you go.
maybe a little bit. So,
You gotta treat yourself sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I wouldn't go back. No.
Okay. Anything about your childhood that you, if you could, you wish you could change?
I mean, my mom being addicted,
Okay.
having addiction issues. Yes.
So let me ask you this:
100%
with
that.
with the exception of your mom, is there anybody from your past that you wish you could just go back and have a whole nother conversation with, and hope that would change like the way things are right now?
Yeah.
Who would that be?
My husband.
Okay.
You weren't expecting that answer, huh?
Nope. But since you brought it up, how did you and your husband meet?
We both worked at Famous Dave's on 72nd Street.
Famous Days.
Yeah.
I can't believe they closed it down.
I know. I was so upset. Me
Yeah.
and my son actually went to the final day of it, and my
Wait,
husband was
y'all
like,
both
"I
was
don't
working
wanna
there?
go." Me and my husband, we were both
Okay.
working there. I actually worked there off and on for 9 years, which is crazy. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But I was working there, and I was a server, and I still remember to this day too. So if anybody from Famous Dave's hears this, I was at table 32 and I was wiping it down, and he walked over and said something like, "Hey, you missed a spot," or something like that, like trying to joke with me. And I had never met him, so I
Yeah.
just kind of looked at him like, okay. like, who's this guy? Because they always wore red shirts and we all wore black shirts. So
Okay.
you knew they were a new manager. And they kind of ran through a lot of managers. So I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, he was
whatever.
a manager. Okay.
He was a manager. I was like, okay. And I kind of ignored him, rolled my eyes, and walked away. And then he goes, oh, attitude. And I go, sorry. And I just kind of walked into the back. And he, for like 2 weeks after that, he called me attitude. So,
How long ago was this?
oh gosh,
How long were you guys together?
17 years.
Okay, so
My
about 18 years ago.
Whole adult life.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you guys become a couple?
We became a couple. I was actually when he was my manager, I didn't like him. I hated him.
Okay.
I thought he was too bossy. I thought he was too much of a flirt. So he flirted too much with everybody, and I didn't like that. If you want to flirt with me, that's fine, but I don't want you flirting with everybody else too, right? And he was a flirt. He was a big flirt. So I kind of was like, no, I'm not into him. And then he stopped working there, and we were at a party at one of our coworkers' house, and he showed up, and we started talking, and he was like, hey, can I get you a drink? And I was like, yeah, sure. He went and got me a drink, and then we started hanging out more there. We totally, for the first 2.5 years, dated pretty casually. So
What does that mean?
we both dated other people. So he was living in Everett. I was in Spanaway. I worked out of Tacoma. He was working out of the Everett location. And the reason why he moved to Everett was from Famous Dave's. So Famous Dave's, he was like a trainer where he would go to different centers and he would kind of get people up and running.
Okay. Like a startup manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he went to, if I say Federal YGs, he went to Everett, and he had gotten their team up and running. And we would just kind of date when we had time to. I had my son already, okay? So I have my oldest.
That just sounds, hold on, man. That just sounds crazy. We'll date when we have time to.
Well, I know that might sound crazy. I knew I liked him,
So,
and I knew he liked me, but we were still just young and we were having fun. Let's say that.
Because this is always confusing when people say, we're dating, but we're dating other people, right? What does that, mean? What do you mean? You're just going on dates with other people, or you're just hanging out with other people too? So
Yeah.
there's no commitment?
There was no commitment. We would have fun together. Hey, I want to go see this movie. I want to go to this concert. I want to go here or there. And we would always seek each other out first because we liked each other. But there was he definitely dated other people. I definitely dated other people.
Okay.
And then one day
How do you ask you? You get on one knee and say, will you be my girlfriend?
no.
Oh.
No. I was at his place in Everett, and I was staying the night, and we were actually at a Black Angus.
Okay.
Or Black Angus? No. Outback. Sorry. Place with the
Okay.
blooming onion.
Oh, yeah.
We're there, and he looks at me, and he's like, you're so beautiful. I really enjoy my time with you. And it kind of makes me sick to think of you with anybody else. And I don't ever want to think about you with anybody else again.
That was going to be my question. How do you do all this dating, but no one ever gets, jealous?
Oh, I was jealous. But I also, and I'm sure he was too.
Well, we know you were jealous from the beginning. You just said you
Yeah.
wanted him to flirt only with you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm sure he was. I mean, I think it was just I don't know. We were both so young. I think we were just trying to figure it out still. And it was complicated because I had my son very young. Okay. I have a 19-year-old. I'm 37. I had him when I was 17.
Okay.
So when I had him, me and his dad stayed together until he was 1.5, almost 2-ish. And when we separated, I definitely didn't want to be here's your new daddy. Do you know what I mean? Not that person at all. It took a
That's
very
crazy.
long time for my son to even meet him.
Here's my next question. As a mom, a single mom, going into the dating world, how long do you wait for your new boyfriend to meet your kid?
Are they my boyfriend?
Well, yeah. Once
Okay.
you,
If
I mean,
I make
I'm
it
hoping you're not.
official,
I'm hoping you're not
yes,
letting some like
absolutely
random
not.
dudes. I'm saying
Absolutely
like
not.
once you guys say, hey, like you know, I really don't want to see you with anybody else. It kills me. Whatever the line was he used.
Yeah.
Right. And you guys commence this relationship. How long, or even if you're not saying like, once you guys claim monogamy, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are gonna only be for each other, right? Like you guys are gonna just try to see where this goes, right? From that moment forward, how long do you wait for that guy to meet your children?
I think then it really then and now is different, right?
What's the difference?
My husband passed away. And I
Okay.
have children that is their father, and my husband passed away. So
Okay, so-
that is a totally different world, I think. And I need to be very protective of their hearts and their minds and their spirits, right? I have to be. So I think it's just so different. Also, my son was so young then. I was very protective of not introducing him to him until I knew it was actually going to be something. But I don't know if there's an actual time frame. I think it really depends on the person, and I think it really depends on where your kids are at. You know, if your kids are struggling, I'm sorry, but I'm very intuitive with how my kids are with their mental health, right? And how they're doing. I think when my son was 2, he wouldn't have
Yeah.
known, he was so young. Now I have a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old who very much so miss their father. I couldn't just be like, oh, here's my new boyfriend. That would not be, that would definitely take a lot of time, to be really honest. So I think that if I did have a boyfriend, it would be,
A secret.
yeah.
How do
I
you-
don't want to know. I guess I don't want to say it would be a secret, but it would, and maybe at least my older children, I would talk to them about it as soon as I knew it was serious, but I don't know if I would bring them around because I'm definitely not trying to have confusion. If I'm not 100% positive, I don't want there to be.
Now let me ask you this question though. Don't you think that like maybe just sitting them down and having a conversation with them, like hey, like mom's ready to date again. Like I don't want to be alone. And how do you guys feel about me dating? How do you guys? Because especially with a 13-year-old can be, they understand their feelings. They understand what they feel. A 6-year-old may or may not. Just depends on the 6-year-old. Some 6-year-olds do, some don't. I mean, you don't know your kid. But I just think that at some point, because time just keeps going, right? And at the end of the day, we're all human, and we need some kind of companionship, and stuff like that. And if you feel like like your husband passed away, and you feel like you're ready to date, I understand both sides. I understand oh well, I need to make sure that I'm not disregarding their feelings, or making them think that that's another thing too. I really feel for you.
Yeah, it's a
Because
hard.
even as I'm talking about it,
situation.
even as I'm talking about it, I'm just like, man, like, because
Yeah.
there's so much that can go into it, Before we get into all that, let's back up first.
Okay.
All right, so you guys were together for how long before you passed? 16 years.
17 years.
17 years.
He died.
Hold on,
Okay.
we're gonna get into that.
Okay.
But before we talk about the sad part about him passing away, I want to talk about the good part, right? So obviously he swooped you off your feet with his charisma and raised you up and all that good stuff. And then you guys have how many kids together? 2?
2.
When you think of him as a father, what's the biggest things that stand out of because obviously when you go to every time you've talked to me about him, you've always talked to me about him with emotion, even though you try to hide it behind just kind of casual conversation or something like that. But when you bring him up, you can hear the emotion. You can hear the love that you still have for him. So obviously you think highly of this man, right? So when you think of him as a father, what kind of things stands out the most? When you remember the things of him as a father, what stands out the most to you?
He was an amazing father, first and foremost. Amazing, the best that I could have ever handpicked for my kids.
Okay.
he was patient even when I wasn't. When we were exhausted, he was still so patient and so understanding and so kind and so loving. And he was always, always, always the joke guy. You know, he always was wanting to brighten people's day, make people laugh. So I just think he poured into our children a lot on, you know, how to feel good for yourself, but also how to make others feel good. So, I mean, I can see it in my 6-year-old, and some days it makes me cry, right? It makes me kind of sad because it's like, geez, she's so much like her dad, and she's only 6. And so I don't know, even in 5 years, how much she'll remember of her dad. But, you know, he was just such a good dad. So patient, so loving, so, I mean, I think a lot of the time he sets such a good example, too, of like what a husband and dad should be like. So,
How do you think that his friends would describe him?
Jokester. He was funny, very loving.
All right,
very
so you said
kind.
jokester. Just to lighten the mood here a little bit. What's the funniest memory when it first pops in your head? The funniest memory you have of him?
So many. The
The first one that pops in your head. As long as it's appropriate for you two.
Okay. So my husband loved to dress up for Halloween.
Okay.
Our whole family would get really into Halloween. And he had some of the funniest Halloween costumes, one of which being a Ninja Turtle. My husband was a big dude.
Okay.
He was not a small man, okay? He was a big guy. He was, 6'3", 6'4". I don't even know how much he weighed. Upper threes. He was a big guy, okay?
Okay.
And he had a, onesie on. Sorry, just thinking of it cracks me up.
You're good.
He had this onesie on that was green, and he took like a bungee cord and put it around his waist so that he could get those little, I don't know what they're called, the little knife things that has three prongs on them. So he had those, and he had the little eye thing, and I just remember looking at him being like, what are you doing? Like,
who was he trying to be? Which one?
What are you doing? The red one. I don't even know.
Raphael? I don't know. I'm not a big Ninja Turtle person these days, so okay.
But there's that. I mean, he always would win too. They had a competition. He worked for Puyallup Tribal Health Centers, okay? And they would have a competition every year, and his goal was he needed to win, but it had to be funny. So last year, 2024, his last...
last year was 2025, by the way.
I know, but his last, sorry. I was trying to think of when would be his last Halloween. He was, oh my gosh, Alan from... The Hangover, and he had baby Carlos hanging from him.
Oh my God.
But that's how he was. And then it was always had to be something funny. He didn't want to be something serious. It had to be something funny. Another time he was Bob Ross. So my daughter has this big palette, and she plays with it and wears the wig through the house all the time. And I'm like, you're so your daughter's baby, or your daddy's baby.
What was his name?
Jacob.
Jacob what? Wheeler?
Jacob Wheeler.
All right. Long live Jacob Wheeler. What's one thing for you that you feel like... First off, hold on. How did he pass away?
He passed away from a bowel obstruction.
A what?
Bowel obstruction. So he had a long history of having ulcerative colitis, which is very similar to like Crohn's, IBS, things like that. But actually your colon gets ulcers within it. Okay. So when we were more freshly together, when we first had our first child together, he was actually hospitalized due to just, the sickness, right? And during that time, they had done a colonoscopy, and they had found cancer cells growing in his colon. So when my daughter was just a few months old, I want to say she was 4 or 5 months old, he had to go to UW Seattle and have his colon removed. So he had not colonoscopy bag, but a ileostomy. For a huge portion of our relationship, he had it and had been very healthy, as I thought, and lived a a lot of years.
This is like something that's like implanted inside.
No, it's actually where they take out your part of your intestine
Okay.
and they have to add a bag to the outside of your body for your
Yeah.
stuff to come out at. So he had that for a very long time through our relationship. Actually, prior to us even getting married, we were married nearly 11 years. He had that for a long time. And then he had a blockage in his intestines that were still there, which isn't
Before we
uncommon.
get with the bag thing, right?
Yeah,
Just curious. He didn't have that when y'all met,
no,
and then was it like shortly after you guys started dating that it happened?
no. I want to say 5 or 6 years into us being together.
Okay, so long. Okay, that's pretty long.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking is because I hear people say this. I see people do this all the time, right? Where they get in a relationship, everything's going good, and then something life changing happens, right? Like that happens, or somebody loses a leg, or whatever the case may be, and then that they feel like that's too much. They didn't sign up for that, and then they split. So I was wondering how long it was. Cause I was gonna say if it was early, I was gonna say, well, what made you stay? Because I could see people's point.
Yeah.
Why it could be, but at the same time, 5 years, it's like at this
You're
point,
in love.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
created a life together.
Yeah, it's like you can't turn that person. It's
Absolutely
not.
not.
It's not something that they, like. Now, I mean, I guess if the person, maybe you might have an argument if the person was like, you kept telling them to stop going out drinking and driving, and they went out drinking and driving, and they lost their legs or something, and now you gotta like take care of them. Then it's kind of self-inflicted, but I still think that's shallow for you to leave them. But
Yeah.
I could see an argument.
Yeah.
So okay.
I actually get that question often, though.
For real?
I do.
I believe it because
I do.
I mean,
I've had a lot of people, and I've known people that have had it, and they're like, how do you deal? How does that make you feel? And to be honest, there's so many different things, like covers for it as well. Like he actually had like a band that went over it, so I never had to really see it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think it was just like wanting for me not to see it, or wanting others not to see it. But yeah, he had that for many years.
but I'm gonna ask the same question though. How did that affect you? Like knowing that you're gonna have to deal with this for the next or not deal with it, but it's something that you're gonna have to deal with in your relationship. Like at no point, never did you ever consider like maybe this might be too much?
No.
No. Okay. Damn, man, this guy's a great guy, man. Getting a woman to commit these days is terrible. No, I'm joking. Just joking, people. I'm just joking. Just joking.
It's the truth, though. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have looked at that and been like, oh, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you pour into your partner in every other way, make them feel loved, make them feel cared for, make them feel taken care of, make them feel special, important, all of the things that you're supposed to do, right? I mean, he was so good at like encouraging me too. Like, I don't think I would be half the woman I am right now without my husband's support and guidance and encouragement. So,
how was the process though? Like once you got diagnosed, and then things took a turn for the worse. Like how was that process? Like how long was it, and like how was that for you?
when he got the bag, do you mean?
Yeah, like or no. When he recently, right before he passed, because I'm guessing that it was like a process. It wasn't like he just died.
Well, he had a blockage, right? And he didn't know he had a blockage. He thought he was sick initially. He thought maybe he had a flu or a cold or something because he had a fever and was feeling very nauseated and really like tired and really just feeling super out of it. Then he thought maybe this is a blockage, which I have to tell you too, if you have an ostomy of any sort, a colonoscopy or a ileostomy bag, either of the two, and just to tell you, an ileostomy is higher, colonoscopy is lower, right?
Maybe it's higher. Like it's placed higher?
It's placed higher.
Oh, okay.
So having that, it is not uncommon for you to have blockages. So if I could tell you over the 11 years or so that he had it, no, it had to be longer than that. Well, however long he had it, he's probably had 5 or 6 different times where he felt as if something in his system didn't, wasn't making their way through. And there were certain foods that were off limits, like almonds were off limits. Certain foods were off limits just because they're harder to digest,
Okay.
Also, your large intestine is what keeps you hydrated. So a lot of the time, if you're constipated, right, or you're having issues using the restroom, a lot of it has to do with being dehydrated too. So if you don't have your large intestine and you're trying, it dries up your intestines and makes things not pass as swiftly as they should. So he was constantly having to add electrolytes. Like he always had liquid IVs, and he drank so much water, like more water than anybody ever, just because he knew that if he didn't, it would affect him. So back to how we got there. When he goes, maybe I have a blockage, I was like, well, I don't know. Why do you think it's a blockage? He goes, I don't know, because some part in my stomach is starting to kind of hurt. And I was like, okay. So we look it up, and it's like, take a bath. Of course, we do the whole Google search, like, what do you do?
Of course.
And we did, he took a bath, and he's a big dude, so he got in the bathtub, and he's trying to, like, relax with the bath. I actually, the day he went into the hospital, I took oil, and I gave him a full, like, rub down on his stomach, where I was, like, pushing his stomach from side to side and everything, just in case, right? Really tried to, like, dig down deep into everything in his tummy to try to make it better. And then, yeah, it didn't help. My son, actually, I went to work, and my son called me and said, Mom, this is so bad. This is so bad. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he needs to go to the hospital. And I was like, why? And I'm part of a board, and I was at a board retreat for work. Or I say for work, it's part of my job is to be active in the community that I serve. And I'm part of the Lakewood Chambers board. And we had our board retreat, so I couldn't just leave, right? We're making plans for the next year, and I have a bunch of stuff on the agenda to do, and I'm like, I can't just leave. So I instantly text my husband, and I go, hey, Gabe's worried about you. Are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I don't know. I still feel bad. And he had been sick at our house, and I say sick, right, for 4 days, where he wasn't feeling good and was feeling super off. Now, I must tell you, this is also during the time when he's about to turn 40. Okay. So his 40th birthday is August 15th. Okay. We finally got him to get into the hospital or go to the hospital on August 4th. So he's thinking, this is totally going to mess up my birthday plans if I'm sick. So I need to just feel better. And he kept saying that because we had all kind of stuff planned. We had a jet boat excursion. We were staying in a hotel. Like, we had a trip planned and all kinds of activities. Like, we were trying to have a big barbecue and have a bunch of friends over. Like, we had all this stuff ready, okay? Decorations that are still sitting in my garage. Like, so much stuff was planned for him to celebrate his 40th. And he didn't want to miss anything, so he didn't want to go to the doctor. And when I called his mom and dad, I went into the bathroom during this board meeting, and I called his mom and dad and said, hey, have you talked to Jake? Because, he's refusing to go to the doctor, and he really needs to go. So they called and were like, hey, you need to go to the doctor. They called him. He still refused. I get home, and I'm like, hey, I'm not joking. I'm taking you. We're going to the doctor. And he goes, well, we don't have dinner ready. Nothing's ready. And he had called in sick to work, which my husband never did, ever. I mean, he could be on his deathbed.
Do you feel like he was stalling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. He was far too sick for far too long for him.
Yeah, it just seems like the way you're saying it, like he's stalling. It's kind of make my eyes water, man. I hate hearing sad stuff, man. Go ahead, though.
And so I come home, and he's like, dinner's not done. The kids need to eat, whatever. And I'm like, it's fine. I'll make dinner, and we'll go from there. And I call his mom and dad, and I say, hey, I think I finally got him convinced to go to the doctor. But I'm going to cook dinner and get the kids ready for bed and whatever, and then I'll head up there with them. And my father-in-law was like, well, no. Is he going to the hospital? And I was like, well, yeah, he said he was going to drive himself to urgent care. He's going to go. And he goes, well, I'm on my way then. There's no way. I'm just going to have him there alone. Because they knew he was sick for a few days. And so he drives himself to urgent care, goes in, and he's texting me the whole time. I'm doing dinner, and he goes, oh, really weird. They rushed me right back. And, you know, when you go to urgent care, you're sitting there, you're waiting, and they did his you know, kind of checked his vitals, and they were like, oh, no. Hooked him up to an IV. He was hooked to an IV within, like, 20 minutes of him being there. And I'm asking him, like, well, what's going on? What's happening? And he goes, I don't know. I'm not sure, but they're kind of making a big deal about this. Like, and he was super just so nonchalant about it. And I felt not good about it. Because, you know, when you go to urgent care, it's not like that. It's like, you know, they're going to drag their feet. It's going to take a while, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have dinner with the kids, whatever. Well, then he goes, well, sounds like they might have to do surgery tonight. And I go, oh, okay, surgery? And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, screw dinner, right?
Yeah.
I take the kids, they're in their pajamas. I just take them and we all head up there. And
To urgent care?
To urgent care.
Urgent care?
Sorry, urgent. I say urgent care. It's not urgent care. I'm sorry. He did end up going to St. Joe's.
Oh,
he did end up going
surgery at urgent care.
Yeah, no.
Like, holy shit.
He did end up going there. His
Okay.
first initial thing was to go to urgent care, and his dad was like, "No, go to St. Joe's."
Yeah, okay.
So I get there, and as I get there, they're not trying to let me back into the emergency room because there were so many of us. I have me and my 3 kids with me, and they were like, no, you know, you can only have one visitor, and he already has one visitor. And I go, okay, well, you send that one visitor out because I want to go back there.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. Well, then I go, I'm going to need to get back there. Like, you need to call whoever you need to call to make my father-in-law come out so I could go back there. And all of a sudden, some guy walks out, and he goes, hey, I'm looking for Haley Wheeler. Is Haley here? Because I was texting him saying, hey, like, I'm here. And it was one of the nurses from the room. And so I left my 2 younger kids with my older one in the waiting room, went back, and they were like, you know, he's very sick. We're going to have to do emergency surgery and try to figure out what's going on here. And at that time, I didn't really know what very sick meant. I just was like, okay, well, yeah, he's sick. That's why we're here, you know, and I didn't think much of it because my husband was laughing. He was talking with me and his dad. He was like, you know, just so nonchalant about it that I thought he was fine. I end up going back into the surgery room, signing the papers for him to go in, and I give him a hug and a kiss, and I'm like, you know, good luck. I love you. I'll see you after. And that was kind of it. And it's terrible to think that that's the last thing that you say to somebody.
That's the last thing you said to
That's
him?
the last thing I said to him. Just because you know, they told me it was going to be maybe a 2 to 3 hour surgery. Okay. So it's getting later. This is after I've gotten off work and everything. So I want to say they started the surgery at like 8:30 or so, 9. So it's later and later. My father-in-law goes, hey, I'll take the girls home because they have school the next day. I'll take the girls home if you want to stay here. And I was like, yeah, you know, of course I'm going to stay here. Well, my oldest, Gabe, was like, well, you're not going to stay here alone. There's crazy people at the emergency room. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to stay here with you. He stays with me, and the 2 to 3 hours turns into like 5.5 hour surgery. And the surgeon that came in the room just looked defeated a little, you know? You know when you can tell that something ain't right and you don't really know what's not right?
Do you think that your husband, he knew, like subconsciously he kind of felt it? No?
I don't
Well,
think
because
so.
I think sometimes like people like protect like their loved ones, like they feel it. Like it's kind of.
I think that he thought that he would just feel better. That he would just feel better, that it would just pass on its own, or that if he had a flu, it would just go away. That's what I think he thought. But the surgeon comes in and says, hey, his intestines had tons of, and he, not tons, I mean, I don't know how many he said at this point, but he said he had a lot of little hernias throughout the inside of his intestines that created little pockets of infection, and all of that was just kind of sitting in his intestines. And everyone kept saying, and he's very sick. I really didn't know what very sick meant. It took me, my husband was in the hospital 13 days before he passed, okay? So he goes into this surgery, and everyone is telling me he's very sick, he's very sick, he's very sick. I did not know until 5 days in that he was septic. So when you're septic, your blood is now infected, and it really affects your whole body.
Yeah.
Every time that they said he's very sick, that's what they meant, but don't want to scare you with that word. So now, obviously, I know to ask additional questions if something like that were to happen.
With being septic, there's no reversing it?
There is, if you're well enough. So there's more to that, I guess. When the surgeon came in, he said he's very sick, and there were so many pockets of infection, and there was so much swelling. I was not able to close him back up. So my husband's stomach was still open, wide open. And they just left like a piece of barrier, like plastic over it. So infection didn't get into it, but they needed to still uncover it. But they had been in surgery too long, and he was very sick, right? He was very weak. So they're like, we had to stop. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because, someone goes into surgery, you expect to see them after surgery.
Yeah.
Wake up and talk to you, and that never happened. They had him on a ventilator, and he was there 13 days and had 8 surgeries, and I'm going to call them all surgeries. Some of them were just open up and wash him out because he kept on getting more infected, and other areas of his body were shutting down or really were affected by this infection in his bloodstream and in his body. And they were trying to really identify where the infection was coming from because they didn't know at this point. So 13 days, 8 surgeries, and
this whole time
he's not awake.
Okay.
He is on life support.
So day 13 comes, what happens?
Day 13, everything was different. Everything felt different. No one was looking me in the eye. You've been there 13 days, and when I tell you 13 days, I was there as many hours as I could possibly be there. Okay. I was out from work. I would drop my kids off at daycare and school, and then I would go straight to the hospital, and I would be there until 5 o'clock. So it was almost like I was working my normal work hours, being there at the hospital with him. And I had grown really close to all these surgeons. I had grown close to the, all the different specialists that were coming in and the nurses, and no one was looking me in the eye. And my normal nurse, who I had gotten really close to, was not assigned to my room anymore. And I was like, well, that's odd. That felt odd to me. I see her, and she's been here for a long time. Why is she not here? I think it was almost like it was becoming too hard for her, so they brought someone else in because they knew. When I walked into the room, every day I would hold his hand, and I played him music. I played all of his favorite songs, all of our favorite songs. I would sing to him. I'd read to him. I'd pray with him. I would just talk to him about what was happening in our lives. 'Cause that's 2 weeks is a long time to just miss out on life, And I really did believe that he could hear me. Sorry.
There you go. All right.
I really did believe that he could hear me, So when I went to reach for his hands were like yellow, and you could see every vein in his hands. And it scared me. And I covered him. It was the only day that I didn't hold his hands because I knew this is not
Good, yeah.
good. And the nurse, or first, I'm in the room with my in-laws, and my friend group was amazing. My friend group was there with me the whole time, every day, dealing with all the emotions. And a new doctor came in and wanted me to sign a do not resuscitate. And I did not want to do that. I was like, well, no, he's not even 40 years old yet,
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, he had just turned 40 2 days. So he turned 40 in the hospital. And his 40th birthday, he was well. He was okay. He was showing signs of improvement. And then the next day is when his heart rate started going crazy and other things were kind of shutting down. Other organs were kind of shutting down. And by the 17th, which is the day he passed, this doctor wanted me to sign a do not resuscitate. And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Wait, he has too much life left to live. Like, this can't happen. And he goes, well, everything is shutting down. And if he does flatline and we try to resuscitate him, it's going to create more damage because he's so weak and so brittle at this point. And I said, I don't care. You try, you try to do whatever you can to keep my husband here. And we refused to sign it. And the nurses, even the nurse that was not in my room, and I could tell wasn't in my room because she had maybe grown a little too close and it was too hard for her. Mm-hmm. They came in and they had a conversation with me and said, Haley, we have done everything that we can do for your husband, and we're really prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah.
And she had a conversation with me on if I wanted to take him off life support. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. And they every day did checks of his brain function, where they would hook him up to this little monitor that would go on both sides of his temple, and they would do, they'd open his eye and they would do tests with light to see how your eyes reacted. Mm-hmm. And on that last day, he had he didn't react. He wasn't having any brain functioning with that. And when that happened, my nurse, who I was really close to and really had a lot of trust in this woman, sat me down and held both of my hands and looked me in the eye, and she said, would he want to live without being half the man, or maybe even none of the man that he was before? And I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think when you're with someone that long, you have those conversations. You say, hey, if I could no longer speak, or I could no longer talk, or I could no longer embrace my children, would I want to be here? You have those conversations. And he would not want to live like that. They talked about him going into an assisted living and, not being able to take care of himself and all this and that. And his heart rate was just so erratic too, that I was like, I get it. They're trying to get me to sign these papers saying they're not going to resuscitate because they think he's going to pass today. And I said, I don't feel comfortable making these decisions alone. I'm going to need my family in here. So first my son came in, and by this point, everyone knew that it was really bad. And that he was actively passing because they had told us he was actively passing, right? They didn't know how long it was going to take, if it was going to take a week or it was going to take how long. So he had so many people, friends, family, just so many loved ones, coworkers, so many people there to support us, that were all in the waiting room. I mean, we took over that waiting room. And my son came in first, and he was like, he wouldn't want to live like that, Mom. He wouldn't, and he wouldn't. And I was like, I know. And he goes, then you might need to make that decision. I said, I still can't make that decision. I need you to call in, his father, his mother, his brother. I need our family unit together to talk through this. So we did, and everybody was no, 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 same thing. I mean, it's so hard to make a decision like that. Even if it is the right decision, it just feels like the wrong decision. You know, it truly
What do you think you were
feels
afraid
like the
of?
wrong decision.
If anything, in that situation?
I think the biggest thing was, what if he could survive? The what ifs, the miracles, right? We see
Yeah,
miracles.
yeah.
We see miracles. Am I giving up on the love of my life before his miracle reaches him? I mean, that's literally the thought that I had. Like, am I giving up too soon?
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I was just thinking, like, you know, like,
Oh, I was praying for a miracle.
I bet. I mean, I probably would have been doing the
was.
same thing.
Yeah.
Man, well, I'm sorry for your loss. Sorry for your kid's loss. Like I said, long live Jake. Jake, right? Is that his government name? Jake?
Jacob.
Jacob? So long live Jacob Wheeler. Man, so how have these last? That was August. Don't tell me. I think I snooped and I read it somewhere. Was it like the 17th of August?
Yes.
Yeah. So, post August 17th, how have like you been? Like mentally, like just truthfully, not what you want to tell everybody around you, especially your kids, so they don't see you hurting. What's the truth? How have you truly been? Because there's probably somebody's watching this. There might be somebody watching this who's going through it too.
And I hope that I can be helpful to others that are experiencing something like this. Some days terrible. Some days just so terrible. But then other days, I'm so appreciative for life, if that makes sense. It's been a wild ride, and I finally feel like maybe over the last month, more like myself, if that makes sense.
You feel guilty for feeling like yourself?
No.
No.
I feel like my husband would want me
Continue living.
to continue living. 100%. He would. He was my biggest cheerleader my whole adult life. And
Yeah.
I know that he would be like, you know, this could break you, but we're not
Don't
going to
let
let
it.
it break
Yeah,
you.
don't let it.
You
Yeah.
know, I think I am so much stronger than I ever knew that I was. And I've always been a strong woman. I've always faced my challenges head on and just always been a survivor of the crap that life has thrown at me. But this situation has created a new person, if that makes sense.
It's funny you say it created a new person, not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
because the question I was going to ask you was going to be on your lowest day that you've had since August 17th, 2025, what's one thing that you learned about yourself from surviving that lowest day?
The biggest thing that I've learned is that you have to feel. I was really doing a terrible job at feeling. I was trying really hard to, you know, push it down. Just push it down because no one wants to see you sad. Just push it down because, you know, you need to go to work. Just push it down because your kids want to see mom happy. I have done a lot of work on myself during this process and, you know, really, really, really done a lot of work on myself. And I have learned you have to feel your absolute worst to make it through it. Grief is a terrible, awful thing where if you ignore it or you push it aside or you're doing things to try to make you not feel it, it's going to last that much longer. I have found if you live in your grief and you feel the feelings that you're supposed to, you'll come out on the right side. And also, my husband is absolutely worth me crying over. He is absolutely worth me feeling sad, me having a bad day, me, you know, feeling vulnerable and lost. His life was so worth my tears.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that, but I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's better for your children to see you happy, or do you think it's better for them to see you, you know, going through what you're obviously going through? like I guess my question for you is, do you
Get
think
this drink real quick.
do you think it's important? I guess you said it's important. Do you think it's important for your kids to see you facing your grief, or do you think it's better for them to see you just kind of like moving on and being happy?
Facing it. 100% facing it.
So I know before you say it, because a lot of times people as parents, like we try to protect our children from stuff like that, but I think that we're not teaching them a real life skill. We're
Yeah,
not teaching
I
them.
have really struggled with this area. 100% I have. I had a period of time where I cried every day. I was crying every day, all day. To be honest, I would wipe it away long enough and then I would just be right back. Something else would remind me, a smell, a sound, a song, anything, you know.
Yeah.
When someone's that part of your life, everything reminds you of them in their absence, okay? Yeah. And my 6-year-old would always say, Mommy, why are you crying? Why are you crying? And I would always tell her, well, I'm crying because of Daddy. I really miss Daddy. I really miss Daddy a lot, you know. And one day she said, but you cried about Daddy yesterday. And you cried about Daddy the day before yesterday. And you're always crying about missing Daddy. And I said, you're right. I am. And I'm really sorry because that's probably hard for you to see Mommy cry so much, huh? And she goes, it is. I just want you to be happy. And when she said that, that really bothered me. I was like, oh my God, I have to hide that I'm sad. So I started crying in the shower. I started crying after I dropped them off to school. I started crying on my way to pick them up from Grandma and Grandpa's house. You know, it was like I was protecting and saving my grief for my alone minutes. And then I joined a grief group called Grief Share, which I'm not a part of any longer. I was doing it, but it wasn't the best fit for me. So I have sought other groups, but in that group, they said, you know, you need to let that ugly out, because if you don't let it out, it's just going to, your grief process isn't really starting.
Yeah.
If you're holding it in until it's an appropriate time to cry, there's really no appropriate time to cry.
Yeah.
And when I really started thinking about that, I was like, it's absolutely true. Like I have to. You know, I cry a lot less now, but when I do cry and she asks, why are you crying? I just say, I just loved Daddy so much and I wish Daddy was still here. She go, oh, I miss him too. I wish he was still here too. I loved him a lot too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, and I tell her, you know, hey, when I'm crying, it's not always because I'm sad. It's just because, like, you know, my heart is so full that my eyes are running over. You know, I don't have any more room in my heart. So, and because it could be a memory or, you know, a special day or whatever it is that I think he should be there for. So explaining that to little ones is really hard, and I've struggled with that. But I think that the more that they see that you're vulnerable and allowed to be sad, the more they feel validated in their sadness too.
So, before we get to something else, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who, one, who is a parent who has children who has experienced the same loss as them? Mm-hmm. And also, what advice would you give to somebody who's dealing with the loss of somebody unexpectedly that they really cared about, and that was like pretty much their life in a sense? Like your whole world was built around this your husband, you know, because you know you guys are one now. You guys, everything you guys do, everything you guys have planned is all based off of you both being here actively a part of it, and now God took them home. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's going through that as well?
Well, for mothers or parents, right? Mm-hmm. For parents whose child is going through grief, I would suggest talking often, getting them part of conversations. My kids go to Bridges. It's through Mary Bridge Children's Hospital, and It is a support group or a grief group that they go to twice a month. You know, allows them to have conversations and talk about their feelings. I think that's so important. My 13-year-old was really, really, really close to her dad, and she was really struggling with not crying, not showing emotion. I mean, she cried the day my husband passed away, and then she cried at his funeral, and then hadn't cried again. She just hadn't cried. And when I would ask her about Dad, she'd say, I don't want to think about it because it makes me sad. And I would tell her, well, we have to think about it or else you're going to feel sad longer. And do you not want to think about dad ever again? Like, you need to think about it, you know? So grandma and grandpa are such a huge, and when I say grandma and grandpa, that's my husband's mom and dad, are such a huge part of our lives and just so instrumental in that. And my mother-in-law has gotten my daughter books that are like journals that she can actually write about her life and what's happening in her life to her dad. So it's almost like a journal, but it's prompted with like things you want to tell your dad when they're no longer here. So I think tools, just making sure that you have applicable tools there so that they, I don't know, have an outlet. Because you talked about support and support systems and making sure you have people around. I think it's really hard to feel like you have anybody around unless they've been in your shoes. So yes, I have the best friends and great family, but I really needed friends that lost the love of their life and were raising their kids on their own and had to deal with that. I needed that.
Yeah.
I really, really needed that. I needed somebody who understood what I was going through and, you know, would answer questions or ask questions. I mean, I needed that dialogue hugely. I also weirdly joined a Facebook group that's Young Widowers Support Group. And I have gained so many new friendships through there. And I have regular people that I talk to multiple times a week about how is life, you know, what's going on with our kids, how are we dealing with this? And I just think having a support group is huge. So to someone newer in that, unrelated to like a mom, right? But if you've lost your significant other, I've really, really struggled in who I am. You lose a sense of identity when you've been with someone your whole life like that. And you saying, you know, you create all these future plans with somebody and all of a sudden they've just got ripped right out from under you. It's so true. You need to find your own sense of identity. I had a really lost period, and I'm sure it's still there. I'm sure it is, but I've gotten a little better, where I would just like come home and the kids would go do their things in their rooms. They'd play or, you know, play with their toys, watch TV, whatever they're doing, my older one on the phone, whatever. And I would just sit in the silence of my living room. And I would stare at my TV and be like, what am I going to watch? But like, I didn't even know what I liked. I didn't even know what I liked without him. Does that sound silly?
No.
I
Realistically, yes. Or not realistically, but it does sound silly, but realistically, no. Because you think about when you're in a relationship with somebody for so long, right?
Yeah.
And you guys break up. Everything you did was together.
Yeah.
You might not even liked Friends.
Exactly.
But you watch Friends. You learn to like it or to deal with it.
And you talked through it, like have conversations about
Yeah.
it. And I was like, I would turn on shows that we watched together and I was like, this don't feel right.
Yeah.
This
Who am I
ain't-
talk to about this?
Yeah.
You know, and I
this
really
don't
only
feel-
cared about it because he liked it.
Yes.
You
And
know?
this don't feel like really my interest anymore.
Yeah.
So I had a huge time of like, I don't know, where I'm like, I'm going to find things that make me happy. And I literally sat down and I wrote down. So if you lose someone so close to you, everyone and their mom gives you a journal because they feel like you need to write something, okay?
So
And
what's two things that you found about yourself, that you learned about yourself, or like you relearning who you are, like, that interest you, that make you happy? What's two things?
What's two things that I like?
Yeah, that makes you happy. What I'm asking this is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking is two things that you didn't know that you liked, right? That you relearned that you liked, or two things you relearned about
I
yourself.
don't want to say I didn't know that I liked him, but I'm putting more conscious effort into making time for me. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
No, yeah.
And the biggest two things is I want to laugh. I want to be happy. I want to, in the time that I have here, I want to have experiences. I have almost like FOMO right now, fear of missing out, right? Where I have done all of the things possible to keep myself busy on purpose, and that's a sort of grief too, which I didn't realize. It's keeping yourself so busy that you don't have time to think of your sadness. But Haley has been to so many comedy shows since my husband passed, and I love going to comedy shows. So that was an easy thing for me
Was
to
that
be
something
like,
y'all did
oh,
together?
yes. It is. But it's something I enjoyed.
But let me ask you this, though. Would you say that that's really figured out who you are, or just continuing something that you guys did together?
That one, yes. That one is happy memories for both. But
Okay.
it is something that I make an effort to go see different comedians, because
Who's
it
your
makes me
favorite
happy.
comedian that you've seen? She's going to be biased and say Nate Jackson because she's from Washington. No, I'm joking. I like Nate Jackson.
I was gonna say I would probably him.
Yeah,
Probably
he's funny.
him.
This
Out
is
of the
the
ones
crowd
I've
work.
seen,
It's the crowd work.
yes.
It's
Out of
crazy.
ones I've seen, he cracks me up.
Yeah.
He really does.
What's the other one? Joe Coy? He's from Tacoma too, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never seen him.
Yeah, I've never seen him. I actually just saw him in a movie not too long ago
Yeah,
for the first time.
but he is funny.
Yeah,
he is
yeah.
funny.
Okay. Real quick to lighten the mood a little bit. Reach in that little silver jar right there, swirl your hand around a little bit, and then like the claw from the arcades, grab one of the papers out.
I'm gonna reach from the bottom since.
Okay.
Okay. Make me nervous with these.
While she's doing that,
questions.
if you guys haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, Minority Emotions the podcast. Follow us on TikTok under the same handle. What you got?
I don't know, and if it's the same one, it was meant to be.
All right.
It says, "What's a recent win, big or small, that you're celebrating?"
That's for you.
I know.
Ironically, on one of the previous podcasts, I got that one, and it
Did
got
you?
put back in there somehow. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Win for me, I would say weight loss. I've been focusing really hard on trying to take care of myself better, being here as long as possible for my kids. And I've lost 46 pounds.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Losing 2 pounds is tough.
Yeah, 46 is
You can put it back in there.
terribly hard. Believe me. It's taken a long time. Read it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, first, congrats on your weight loss. Let me ask you this before I get into this about your weight loss. What would you say is the easiest part of weight loss and the toughest part of weight loss for you?
The easiest part is the exercising. I've grown to love exercising. I've made that my me time. I go to the
All
gym.
right, I'm gonna
now
ask this
and-
question because I know the truth. What's your favorite exercise to do?
What is my favorite exercise to
Yeah.
do?
There's like only 3 that you do at the gym.
You're rude, first of all.
You told me, not me.
I know. I mean, my favorite, I don't know. I don't love the act of working out. I love the way I feel after I work out. Okay?
Mind you guys, she said she just walks on the treadmill.
Yep.
She might do the Stairmaster if she's feeling a little lucky.
Yep.
And then I think the other one was she trains only arms.
Only arms. Only arms. Why don't you train me then? You have jokes?
I'm retired from training.
Okay.
I'm retired from training.
You have jokes.
For now. But you know, everybody knows, anybody who's watching this, they knows, as soon as I say I'm retired from something, that just means it's a temporary, taking some time
Break.
off. Yeah, because I retired from powerlifting like 4 times. And
Oh, really?
I just retired last year.
And you're back.
And I'm about to compete again, man. But, you didn't tell me, what's the 2 easiest things? You said the exercises was the easiest. What's the toughest?
The toughest is your mind. I still feel like I have the 46 extra pounds on me. My mind hasn't quite like caught up with the fact that I'm becoming a skinnier girl.
The body dysmorphia.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm still seeing myself as the larger girl. So it kind of surprises
Let me ask you a
me
question.
when people come up and they're like, "Hey," and they're like bringing it up. I'm like, "Oh, you can tell." Like, it's surprising to me.
When you refer to yourself, do you refer to yourself as, before you started weight loss, when you refer to yourself, do you refer to yourself as a thicker woman, a bigger woman, BBW?
Bigger woman for sure.
Okay. And then now, truthfully, now when you refer to yourself, how do you refer to yourself? Still as a bigger woman?
Bigger woman.
And that's why you don't see it.
Yeah.
I say stop saying that, right?
I mean,
Because
it's
mean-
just how I feel, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I'm skinny, I hope I really feel skinny, you know?
I just hope that a lot of people struggle with this. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're gonna have to struggle with this, but and y'all do not light me up in these comments. It's just the truth. These people go get these weight loss surgeries, and they do all these weight loss. For some reason, they never lose weight in their head.
Oh.
So like their body be small and their head be big. So hopefully you lose your weight the proper way, which means you probably got to do more than arms.
So is that your way of telling me I still have a big head and I need
No,
to work
I'm
on
not.
my big head?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you look at next time you see somebody who says that they did a weight loss surgery, right? And they want to show you the
Well,
picture.
I'm not going to have weight loss.
No, I'm just
surgery.
showing you. I'm just giving you an example. Like
Okay.
these people who say they lost a lot of weight or did Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever, tummy tucks, and all the other things they got out there for it. Anybody who lost a lot of weight, right? First off, shout out to them for doing that. Congrats. I'm not knocking them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you actually look at them, not all of them, but a lot of them still have like big heads. Like
How do you get rid of the big head?
I don't know. That's why I say these hopes and dreams of going from being big to skinny might not be the
I
best.
mean, okay.
Maybe just
and I don't want to
more
be
toned.
skinny. Yeah, I don't want to be skinny. I just want to be healthy. And I just want to
Exactly.
be here for a long time.
But
I'd
but
have a lot of years left in me is my hope.
would you think that? Would you believe me if I said that being skinny is not actually healthier than being thicker?
I mean, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
You don't have the reserves. You don't have the.
Yeah, you miss like three meals, man. You might be on your way to the hospital.
Yeah.
Your stomach really gonna be touching your back, you know. But if you're a little thicker,
Yeah.
you know, if FDA says you should be 160 and you walk around at 185, hey, you know what? FDA doesn't know what they're talking about.
I'm still pretty far off from that, so it's okay.
Yeah. All right. So
It's all right.
here's my question.
Okay.
All right. If younger you saw you today, what would they say about what you've become?
Wow, I like that question.
I'd say that younger me would probably say, "You're not as rich as we planned. Got more kids than we hoped for." But the younger me would also say that they're very proud of the man that I've become. Because a lot has changed. When I was young, I was in denial. I would deny. I didn't believe a lot of things that people said to me about me. I'm not gonna get into all those things, but people would
So
say.
you didn't take the criticism that people were trying to give you? Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't good at it. No, when I was
Okay.
younger, hell no. No, if you said something about me, I become real defensive.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger, for sure. And then as I got older, it got better. I explained this on the last episode, kind of in a way when he talked about me being emotional. I kind of dealt with it, but it wasn't until later years, like probably the last 5-6 years, where I really honed in on just how I handle situations, and just becoming the man that my family needs me to be, and I made a change for me, man. All these people, like my siblings, other friends, other people, they have their opinions of me, and good, bad, indifferent, whatever the case may be. I don't give a shit. The only people I care about are my children, and yeah, it's really everybody else. You're gonna love me for who I am, or you're not. Mm-hmm. I'm not changing for you. I'm not changing for nobody. My children, I'll change for them to an extent, but I'm not gonna change totally who I am. No, So I think the younger me would say that they're proud of me. Keep going. Finally figuring out what you're here for. All right, we got one more trick thing for you, and then I got some questions for you, some really deep questions for you, and then I'm gonna get you out of here. Spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do I have to keep it like that so everybody can see?
You can turn it and read it if you need to. You land on double spin.
Therapy.
All right.
What's that mean?
So basically, first, what's your thoughts on therapy?
Oh, I love therapy.
You ever been to therapy?
Absolutely.
When's the last time you been to therapy?
Um, 3? No.
3 days ago?
Nope.
Oh.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So you didn't go to therapy after your husband passed away?
I joined groups, but I don't believe I need therapy for
Okay.
it. I
So-
am in support groups where I can talk and they can talk, but therapy is actually where they are giving you advice. And I don't know if I need advice at this point. I might later, but right now I don't know if I need professional advice.
So what do you think about therapy? Like, what's your opinion on it? Like, is it good? Is it bad? How do you, in your opinion, how do you feel like therapy, can be successful?
I think therapy can be amazing in the right setting with the right provider, like with the right therapist. I don't think it's like a one size fits all type of model. I think you do have to find somebody that you connect with and that you respect, or that you would actually, you feel as if they would understand you. Yeah, I think that therapy can be a great thing if you have the right fit. And that's the hard part, is finding the correct fit for you. Because not everybody is going to be the right fit for you just because they have a degree.
That's true. I feel like for me, like therapy, it's all about relatability, like if that's the right word.
Yeah, 100%. They have to be able to relate to
Yeah,
you
because
to some degree.
like for instance, I'm gonna give you an example. Perfect example. If I was a therapist, I probably would struggle at being your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to you on an emotional side because I'm human,
Mm-hmm.
but as a like understanding just the type of person you are, not because I'm a male, but because of just like all different things from like upbringing to cultures to all kind of different things. I just feel
I
like
totally agree with you.
unfortunately, it sounds like a lot. I've had somebody say this to me. They're saying, "Are you trying to say that only white people could be therapists to white people and black?" I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that a lot of times I'll speak for black men. I think that we find it very hard to go to therapy because 90% of the time we go there, it's like some like middle-aged white lady,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Who has these pre-built up like social like structures built in her brain. She's never probably even like been in any kind of environment that we grew up in, right? She only knows what she's seen on heard on the news or heard through life. And then when we encounter black people, black therapists, or people in that setting, a lot of times they're so out of touch with their black side that it's like, yeah, we share the same nationality or race or whatever, but you're not you're not the same type of black that I am. And that sounds crazy, but this is the same thing.
I
like
don't
this,
think it sounds crazy at all.
because
I think
there's
it's
different
really
types
hard.
of black people.
Yeah,
There's
there
different types
is.
of white people. There's different types of Asian people.
I think that it's really hard to find any black providers, period, if I'm going to be really honest. So my son is black and white, and he struggled through COVID, really had a lot of struggles through COVID, and I sought therapy for him, got him therapy, and my goal was to find him a black male to be his therapist, because I knew he would connect, he'd feel more comfortable in speaking his mind to this person, right? It was in our area, especially. I'm in Spanaway, and I was fine with going to Tacoma, Puyallup, all the way up to Olympia, right? Because I'm not gonna. I'll make a trip to make sure my kid is okay, right? It was. I didn't find one. If I'm gonna be real, I did not ever find one. I did find an African American woman, but she was also like 47 years old, and that wasn't what I was looking for. Not at all. We did go see her because that was the closest that I could find, or, someone that I felt would understand him more. But it sucks because there's not a lot of avenues. There's not. So young people, get into those lines of work because it's needed,
I got a question for you. As a mom, a white mom raising a black son, what kind of struggles did you have with that growing up, with him growing up?
His dad is super active in his life, very,
Okay.
very active in his life, and very much so a man that I could call at any time and be like, hey, I'm struggling here, or this is what Gabe's got on his plate, this is what's going on in his world, and he would instantly talk me through it or help. So I never felt lost in that, and I never felt as if my child had a lot of added struggles. I think I also have created a world for him where not all my friends are white, not all my coworkers are white, not all my, I haven't kept him in a white bubble, if that makes sense. Which I think that's the difference, though. That's the difference. Some white moms or white dads, their whole world is white. Mine's not.
Yeah.
Mine's not. So therefore, I always felt as if
Kept him in a
he
white
felt, and we're in Spanaway. Our whole community, you look through our neighborhood and it's very diverse.
bubble. Yeah.
Very diverse neighborhood. Very diverse friend group. Very diverse just people that I have him around. And then he was raised around. So I think he's always felt just fine with who and what he is.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Now,
good.
if you ask him, might be a different answer.
The last thing I was going to ask you was, what did you have to learn about black? Well, what's one thing about black culture that you learned that you didn't know after having to raise a black son? Like, what's one thing like you heard, or let's just say, like, for instance, like a stereotype that you found is not true?
I wouldn't say this is a stereotype.
Okay.
But I didn't, I'm white, real white. Like white through and through. All the family members are white, right? Unless they're married in people. And a lot in the older generation, I would see racism, right? I didn't realize just how racist black people were towards white people until I had a black child. Never
You-
did I realize it was on both sides.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Never did I until I was with him. And
You think that black people are racist towards white people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody is racist towards everybody to some degree. Asians, Mexicans, every culture has their own like bias that they go off of and they roll with. And I
think that's a
I
bad
was
thing?
young. No, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I think that's how our minds work. I think that is, we separate what's familiar to us away from things that are not, and we create almost like boundaries there, or I don't know how to explain it, but I think it's our natural way of dealing with differences, our bodies and minds' natural way of dealing with it to a certain degree. Now, being flat out like racist and not dealing with anybody, but like cultural bias, I think are just built into us.
Well, that's the difference between
Yeah.
racism and bigotry.
Yeah.
A lot of people mix the two up. A lot of
Yeah.
people think that, like, I just explained this before too. Like, a lot of people throw around the word racist, and when they really need to be saying bigots.
Yeah.
Right. Because for me to say like like white people aren't as good as black people, right? That's racism. That's just saying that
Yeah.
black people are the superior race, right? And it's not saying that, oh, I don't like Haley because she's white.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because you're white, you're not as good as
Yeah.
me because I'm black. Now, if I said, fuck Haley because she's white, like, I don't fucking like white people, that's bigotry, and that's me not liking you or hating you because of your race, right? But a lot of people mix the two up. They just think that just because somebody says, oh, white people, they don't have as much, like, they can't dance as good as black people. Oh, you're a racist. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not racist.
Yeah.
Which there's some white people who can dance just as good, But I think that's just a stereotype that
Yeah.
got built, So okay, I didn't have the until now. I've never had to raise like white kids. I don't even want to call my sons white. I think that they're biracial. They're white and they're black. But I believe that we're going to teach them their white culture, and then they're going to teach them their black culture. Let me ask you this question. Which culture do you think typically dominates? White culture or black culture? If a kid is white and a kid's black, which culture typically?
Black.
Black.
100%. My son
Why do you
is
think that
a
is?
black man. He's not a white man. He's a black man. He's identifying as a black man because the world sees him as a black man. So he's a black man.
Okay, but I'm saying like just in the way that people live, right? Like so like typically if you got a kid who's white and black, you know, and they got their white mom there, or their white dad, their white parent, and they got their black parent. In the general circumstances, which race or which culture do you think usually is the one that the kid leans towards the most?
I don't know. I would say black, but also I've seen it the other way too. I've seen it both ways. 100%. 100%. I have.
I wasn't leaning towards saying
Yeah.
black. I was just curious what you've seen because typically the way that I see it is this. I see it's based off of it starts off based off how the house is governed,
Yeah.
right? If the house is ran in like a white culture way, that kid that's all he knows, right? And then vice versa if it's black, right? But then for some reason this is what I see all the time, typically all the time. But I think that it's just because black culture is tied so heavily to like, you know, like social media, to it's rap music, to you know, all that. I think that because of that, that's why most people tend to like once they get older they lean towards it because it's rap culture, R&B, like all that kind of stuff, like that is like it seems appealing. It seems like, you know, more fun. Like, you know, country music is cool. It's great. But it just seems so chill and mellow. So it doesn't seem too hype, you know? Like, you know, rap culture.
I'm not a big country fan.
That's unfortunate. I am.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can get out now. No, I'm joking. But no, I'm just saying, like, I just feel like most people tend to flock to black culture. Or what is considered black culture. I don't really like the
know.
whole black culture thing. I mean, unfortunately, it's the truth, but I just feel like it's culture. I just feel like it's become the U.S. culture, really. You know, it's like because you look at other countries, and they don't have as much, you know, like rap music. They don't have all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But here is what
I
the
like
U.S.
that
knows.
American culture.
Yeah, it's American
It's the
culture.
truth.
Because the old days of like, we're America and we stand for this, we stand for that. No, listen, we stand for freaking Super Bowl, NBA, rap music, R&B music, and unfortunately, violence.
Yeah.
That's just what we are, man. Because everything else, and we also stand for a lack of care for our citizens' pockets and bank accounts. Because gas prices the other day was $6.
That too. That's a problem too.
Yeah. But hey, what do you think about the podcast?
I think it was fun. I think it was
Fun?
easy.
Easy? I told you it'd be
easy.
fun.
It was easy. You started scaring me with the equipment and making me practice talking into the microphone. Now I know you just did that on purpose because it just
Yeah.
felt like a conversation,
Yeah. Oh, good.
which is easy.
What's one thing that it's like one piece of advice you give me? There you go.
That I would give you.
Yeah, for doing the podcast.
I don't know. I know nothing of this world, so I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying for what you've seen, the episodes you've seen, and from now that actually being on, like, what's like you have no advice?
No.
Okay.
At first, when I watched your other videos, I was like, why is he not more structured? That's what
You think I should be?
That's what I thought, right? I wondered how come you didn't have like any sort of like prompts that you were looking at, and I could tell like there'd be bloopers, right? Or there'd be like mistakes, and I was like, why is he not dialing that in more? But I feel like it makes it feel more real and more comfortable Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise of
That's
why I
what you're
did it.
going
is-
for.
Yeah, I don't want it to be.
Now being here, I see it and it feels normal. And I felt more like, oh, we're just talking about
Just
my
having a conversation.
experiences. Yeah.
We're just having a conversation, man. I don't want it to be like some therapy. I don't want it to be like, all right, so we're gonna take a trip down Journey Lane. You were there, but when you were 5,
Right.
and you got suspended from school, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about that. You know, I allow people to come on and they talk about what they want to talk about. We start out the same way every time, you know, just getting the basis of who you are, talk about your childhood, and then we figure out what you want to talk about. We talk about it for a little while. We don't harp on it too much. You can always come back and talk more whenever you're ready. Come back next week. Come back whenever. I don't care. Because I created this platform for people to have a way to speak and to be heard. That's the reason why I don't have any prompts, is because in order for me to ask questions, I have to actively listen to you.
Yeah.
I could, if I had a tablet or something with questions on it, I could ask you the question and then I can just be like,
Yeah.
and then, okay, you done talking? All right, next question. You see what I'm saying? So, in order for me to ask you anything, I have to actually be listening to you, which means that 1, we're having an actual conversation. 2, you're actually being heard. If no one ever watches this episode, you were heard by one person, me, right? And as of like I've been telling people, once you come on this podcast, you're part of the Mind Over Emotions podcast family, and so you're always in my prayers. Hopefully, the people who are watching this, they're praying for you. But you're for sure in my prayers. You can always call me if you need to talk to somebody, anything like that. So yeah. All right, look. Before we get out of here, we're gonna switch roles real quick. I'm gonna jump on Haley TV. This is the part of the podcast where you get to torture me.
Torture you.
Yeah.
What are your goals with this podcast?
Okay. Easy. I'm hoping to become rich one day. No, I'm joking. That's what people.
Money!
That's what people. Listen, I joke with that, but I learned something last night. That's what people are hoping that they hear me say.
Yeah.
They're hoping that they hear me say that I want to be rich off this podcast.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. I mean, I'm human, right? And I put a lot of time into this. I love this. This is my passion. It's something that next to like my family, that's like the most important thing to me. Like if you talk trash about my podcast, it might be some problems, because my podcast is for a good reason, you know. And I think that's why I struggle to get supporters, because anything that's good, it's not like sex sales, you know.
Yeah.
Real life stuff doesn't always sell. But my point is, I heard someone say to me last night, they said, how's the podcast going? I said, no, it's going good. You know, still getting people to do episodes and stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, I bet you're loving that monetization money. I said, what monetization money? They said, you're not monetized? I was like, not at all. I was like, I mean, the only monetization is this podcast getting my money.
Yeah.
I was like, but, you know, I'm not getting paid anything for this. And they was like, really? He's like, you should be doing this. You should be doing this. I was like, dude, like, listen, if eventually I start getting paid,
Yeah.
I start
That'd
getting
be a
paid.
plus. Yeah.
But that's not why I do it. Genuinely not why I do it. I genuinely do it because I want people to have a place to be heard, right? Because I feel like that's what Malia's issue. I feel like that's what one of Jalen's struggles was. I feel like that's one of all of our struggles is that we're not heard. We feel like nobody wants to hear what we have to say, whether it's good, bad, or if it's a celebratory thing, or if it's a struggle thing. They feel like when they speak, no one wants to listen. So I give them the platform to be heard. Even if we never put it out, we can cancel this right now. We can stop it, and we never put it
At
out.
least you heard me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? So my goal is to continue to have a platform, I just want to be blessed enough to continue to have a space to provide a platform for people to talk. That's it.
I love that. That's a great answer.
It's the honest answer.
That's a good answer.
You got anything else for me?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you could do any profession, you know, let's say money, education, nothing was a barrier, and you could do and have any profession, what would be your dream profession? Or skill. Skill isn't a problem either, okay? So it could be literally anything, something you suck at that you're passionate for.
If I could do anything as a career, right? I'm gonna still default to the younger me. I had dreams of going to the NBA.
Okay.
I still would, because they gonna get paid a lot.
Yeah.
Nah,
And the fame and the
no,
all
I don't
the
care about
things
the
that
fame.
come with it.
I don't want the fame, man.
Yeah, okay.
No, seriously, just being quote unquote popular is stressful,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about like to where popular to the point where like, you got a couple hundred people who like your post and comment on your shit and expect you to reply, or you walk into a certain place and
I was
people
gonna
know
say
you.
you go somewhere and 12 people.
Yeah, or people-
It is
yeah.
exhausting. Yeah.
People know you, and it's like, dude, like I just came here to just kick it for a minute. Like now I gotta catch up, and all these people ask you the same exact question. It's like I feel sorry for celebrities. They got like one thing trending like right now, like so and so kicked his girlfriend out in the middle of the night. And then every time he goes anywhere now, it's like, so why'd you kick Haley out?
Yeah. Right.
It's like, yeah, like,
Exhausting.
yeah, it's like it's the same conversations over and over again. So I don't want the fame part, but no, I would go if I could choose to be like younger, healthy and be able to compete. Like you said, skill and skill wasn't a problem. I was height deprived. And my coaches, I hope they're watching this too, because I'm telling the truth.
Aw.
My coaches, they played favorites, and they didn't push all their athletes on the men's side and the female side. They didn't push their athletes like they should have, put them out there to be seen. They did not. So it's the truth. But hey, it's part of growing up. It just wasn't in the books for me. So because God wanted me to be here to help people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Rich is at this up until now has not been a part of the plan, but who knows what? Maybe 6 months you see me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Rich, who knows? Be good for my kids.
Yeah, well,
So
good for you overall.
yeah. Anything else?
No,
That's
I
it?
think those are good questions.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Like I said, you and your family will always be my prayers. And if you ever need to reach out, don't hesitate. And biggest thing I want to say is, you guys, when you guys pray tonight, just remember Jake Wheeler, strong father, strong husband. He left. He's gone too soon, and he got her to cry a little bit on the show. So he must be a really dope person. So unfortunately, I never got to meet him, but I feel like the things that you said about him since I met you to now have always been good. Before I get out of here, I'm gonna say this. I like the fact that you always say good things about him, because a lot of times when you talk to people about their current or even past relationships, they always feel the need to say something negative. And I know, like, he passed away. It's like y'all didn't break up. So some people would say, well, why would you say anything bad? He passed away. Like, come on. Like, what? You still could.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
I know he's not perfect.
Yes.
But what I'm
100%
saying,
not.
what I'm saying is that never once, and all the times that we talked about doing the podcast and stuff like that, never once did you ever say like, hey, I don't want to bring him up. Because then if you had said that, then I'd be like, well, that's like one of the biggest things about you, especially one of the biggest things that people can learn from. So it'll probably like raise some flags like, why she don't want to talk about him? Was he a piece of shit? No, I'm joking. But I just,
You're questioning it.
yeah, so I just, that's admirable that you, talk so highly of him still. Because, I mean, there's some people out there who, like I said, now that the person's not here to defend themselves, they definitely would be spreading, like, dirty laundry and, just all that kind of stuff. So, but, like I said, you guys keep Jake Wheeler in your prayers and in your memories, and long live him. And we out of here. Peace.
Bye.